Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Monolith Mondays. We're going to give this a minute here to let everybody have a chance to come into the room. All right, I see that attendee number starting to grow. So, welcome to Monolith Mondays. My name is Megan. I'm the marketing manager here at Monolith Forensics. And what this is every Monday at 10 a.m. Central, somebody from our team is going to walk through a feature in Monolith live for you. And if you have any questions, you can ask us, and we're happy to get those answered for you. So today we have Spencer, one of our engineers, who will be walking through the task system inside of Monolith. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Spencer up here.
Hey,
Hello, Spencer.
hey guys.
Alrighty, so we will have time for Q&A, so if you guys have questions, just drop them in the chat or the Q&A box, and we will get to those at the end of the session. In the meantime, I'm going to hand things over to Spencer.
Great. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen to get started here. Thank you, Megan. As Megan said, I'm Spencer Wright. I'm a engineer here at Monolith. I will have my contact info at the end so you can talk to me. So the first thing I'm going to do is to kick this off. I'm going to create a presentation here using our template system, which you will see how to use by the end of this presentation. So I've got a task here that's got everything we're going to talk about today. So first, task system, what is it good for? Absolutely everything. I will get into that. I'm going to show you a demo of how to use task templates and use a mobile device extraction process for that. We're going to talk about time tracking, which is a feature embedded in our task system as well that you might get some use out of. Analysis and reporting, so how you can see, view your time entries, see tasks spent on, or see tasks associated with cases, and then questions that you all might have at the end. So task system can be used for anything from lab management, traditional task tracking, generating test checklists. If you are a solo practitioner, there's still a ton you can use it for. Just as general tracking of tasks. Yeah, so that's what's good for. I think as we get going, you're going to see more kind of more of the use case of this. The other thing I'll say is if these are not part of your workflow, there's still a lot of things I'm going to cover that I think might be useful to you that you're going to see as I get through these. So let's go ahead and create a new case for this. So task demo. We're going to call this Monolith Mondays. Let's go ahead and sign. Let's make Andrew our case lead here. And we're going to create a new task. And I'm going to go ahead and populate the task with some users. Let's go Tony, Maher, Joey. So now we've got a case, we've got some users associated with it, and we're ready to check out our task system. So as you saw somewhat magically at the start of this, let's say that there is a repeatable process you have in your lab, like a mobile device extraction, and that every time that you start a new case where you've got a device you want to extract, you want it to basically be the same repeatable task. Um, what you can do is select, and I'll show you how to create these, a template right here in the right-hand corner of this case, and then it will automatically populate all the tasks that you need. So with this task board populated, we're now going to talk about what the task board looks like, and then I'll show you how to create tasks and even create your own template. So the default view for the tasks in Monolith is just this nice Kanban board where you can see everything, every task associated with this case. When you go into a task, let's actually take one that's a child task. You'll see on this right-hand side here, the status. These are built into Monolith. So you'll always see backlog pending, in progress, complete or canceled. Priority order. Let's set this to high for the purposes of this example. You can set a due date. We'll make it Thursday. Assignees, this is anyone assigned to the case. So if there's somebody you're not seeing in here, it means that they are not assigned to the case. You can assign that to a user. It always shows you what case it's linked to because there is another view of tasks that you'll see that has kind of all the tasks. Custom status. I will get to that at an end. Or at the end. That is a great question. Um, and then your time entry category is here. So that's basically the category of the task, and then time spent, which we will get into as well. So that's what's associated with each task. You can add subtasks. The other cool thing is there's notes that you can associate with the task. So uh, did intake on this phone, found something useful. So we've got a note associated with this task. If you go into your case notes, you will see that this task note is right there with the rest of your case notes. So that's another way that you can use case notes to full effect and how other folks associated with a case can keep track of information that way. So to change status, you can always interact with these little widgets on the actual task to change and move these guys around. You can also uh, just kind of simply drag them around. This is our default view, but actually there's a number of interesting things you can do here. Anytime you're thinking about views, this is usually the place you want to go. We've got Kanban, and on the right, you can change it between the Kanban board and a list view, where you can see kind of a flat list. We support right-clicking of tasks to change kind of all the statuses that I showed you before. If you want to archive or unarchive a task, you can also do that here. And then time entry view, which I'll get into a little bit later. So some other things to see. Let me make sure I'm honoring this chat. Those are good questions. Kimberly, I will address at the end. So you can play with your view and display here. The grouping is pretty interesting. So if you want to group your tasks by priority, you can change that here. Category is the same deal. Due date, and then case. So I actually find the case view interesting. That's a good segue to say if I've got my tasks for my case, but I want to view all of my tasks in one place. Everyone in Monolith has this tasks area up here. I've got this configured so that I've got a Kanban board by case, actually kind of like a list view by case better so that you can see in one place, here's every task you have associated with every case. So this is an example of a view that you could use to track all of your cases. And the way that you would do that, because the default is always going to be um, case status in this Kanban style, is you can just play with this display a little bit to see, okay, do you want Kanban or table? As I said, I like table, and then just kind of play with groupings here to see what is most useful to you. And you can also kind of order on different things. The other thing that's kind of cool is if you don't want to see all these little buttons and you want your cases to be really simple, we have each one of these properties as something that you can either turn on or off. So you can see that's the selected state, that's the unselected state. So, if you're somebody that really likes customizing your view and making this, kind of exactly the way that you want it, we've got a lot of options to do that here in the task system. So I will go back. As you've noticed with each task, they each have categories associated with them, time entry categories. To not lose my place here, I'm going to just go to a new tab. But anytime you're trying to figure out where a setting is in Monolith to change, this is always a good place to start, is heading to settings. It is in time entry categories here, and you can see every category that you have set, how many entries are associated with that category, and then you can change them too. So I'll change this client meeting to client meeting, a shortened form, and then we will see that in all of our categories or all of our time entries that they've changed. Um, you can also delete time entry categories here, and when you delete a category, it will reassign it to the category that you're selecting. So, okay, I'm deleting the category team meeting, and I want to move it to client meeting. I can delete it like so, and then that time entry will be added to client meeting. Um, Templates. So let's say that I've got this repeatable set of tasks that I want to use. Let's say actually that within analysis, let's say that there's actually a couple things that I repeatedly do with an analysis, which, forgive me, I'm a software developer, not a forensics investigators. So these are going to be very generic ideas of what analysis is for you. Input data, and then we're going to say or brief team. So you can do this with any task. Say that there is a task that you have subtasks associated with, and you want to create a template that you saw me use before. All you have to do is just simply save as template. Um, and then anytime you want to use this template, that's it. Anytime you want to use this template again, you just basically create a task, repeat that process that we did before, and then this will just auto-populate, and it'll populate as a flat list in your task list as well. Where those templates live. Again, anytime you're always wondering, anytime you're wondering where to find the settings on something, it is traditionally in the settings area in Monolith. You will see a flat list of all of your task templates. Currently, if you save as, it will create a duplicate of that task template. So keep that in mind. You can kind of work with naming conventions and that kind of thing, but it will not overwrite or remove your task template that you had previously. It's going to create a new one, and then you can kind of see at a glance here, okay, what was in this template? What did I have associated with it? And this is where you can kind of monitor that and set those. So that is task templates. Now let us go over time tracking here. Um, so let's say that we've got let's do it. Does anyone have any questions about task templates or categories for that piece before I move on? I can address it while we're in here. Otherwise, cool. So let's talk about time tracking. I'm going to use a new template here for testimony. So we've got now our testimony tasks locked in here, and I'm going to use this view here so that I can see these tasks. So let's say that I just added now my testimony briefing tasks. If you want to look at a glance to see, okay, which are my kind of templates or tasks with subtasks, you'll see this icon when you got tasks embedded. So expert testimony prep, that's going to be my prepping task for trial, and I'm going to use this for time entries. So there's a couple ways you can add time entries. One, very simply, if you're just tracking, you don't really care about the start date or end date or anything associated with it. You just want kind of to know total time associated with the task. This is a really easy way to create time entries. Each time you do this, you're creating a distinct time entry and the cumulative of those time entries associated with this task is shown in this little box here. To see your actual time entries, so let's say that, we've gone through this process and I've spent a couple hours on each one of these things. And for giving testimony, you can have these quick add options or custom. I went to court so we got this nice little scroll here, so you can quickly kind of move these numbers. Let's actually do this for the purposes of this demo to show really long testimony. So I gave 144-hour marathon testimony. And we have a time entry this way. So we've now created time entries associated with these tasks. Again, anytime you're looking for a view here in Monolith, this right-hand side is usually where you want to look. We have a time entry view, and this is going to be all of the time entries associated with this case. So you're going to now see them all here, and this is a place where you can then also add or delete time entries. So if I want to edit this and it's like, okay, actually, I did not testify for 4 straight days. Let's actually move this, or let's move this back to 1 day. And well, where's the, I might have to actually click into this guy. Same day here. All right, I've done something weird now that has broken our time entry guy here. So let me see. Okay, 144 hours, 427. I guess it does not like me going backwards. Here we go. Live demo for the win. Okay, 5 hours. Great. So you can edit time entries and make sure that they're exactly as you need them to be here. You can also you have every user has associated with them an hourly billing rate. So if we go into team management here, you can see you can actually set an hourly rate as well for users if that's something that is useful for you to do. And then that time gets added in when you add time entries. Um, So now the last feature I'll show you here is if you say you were sending invoices, Monolith does not handle invoices natively, but if you are tracking your tasks in Monolith and then also separately are invoicing folks and you want to keep track of that, you can show which time entries you've invoiced for. You can kind of mark them in Monolith, and then when we do reports, um, you can see how that works. A note that I'll make here is if you are done with the task or want to delete a task, there's two ways you can handle that. You can either just delete this task and that deletes it from the record, deletes everything associated with it. It's as if it never existed, or you can archive it. If you have a ton of completed tasks, or actually, let's say that this case was this, you didn't have to give this testimony. You spent 6 hours prepping for this testimony, but the case was canceled. Um, you can move this into canceled, and that's fine, and that works, or you can archive this task. If you archive the task, it's now clear off of your task board, but the time entry is preserved for it. So that if there's ever a situation where you are preserving your time entries, but you don't want to deal with kind of cluttered tasks, there is this archive option that can serve you well there. Um, Okay, so then the other thing I'll show you is just last couple things. So let's say you want to view all of your time entries um, and see a report. You can download them like you can with any monolith table. Um, you are also able to see tasks in case reports. So I'm going to show you. Now you can also see the monolith single sign-on in action. If you do not have single sign-on enabled, let us know. That's something we can set you up with, and you can get into monolith as easy as that. Um, so for case reports, I'm going to actually just go ahead and show you. This isn't a demo on case reports, so you can see we can kind of show you how to create that. Let's just assume that you've created a case report. When you do, I'll just show you where this where this area is in the report, you'll see this task summary option available. And what that'll look like if you do have tasks populated is, let me show you this report, is this task report. So we actually have a system in Relay or a feature in Relay that you can auto-generate names based on just kind of this random name generator that we've set up. It comes up with really fun names. If you're just playing around with the app or testing features, I recommend you use it. Xenodokial, I did not know what it meant, but it's the opposite of xenophobic. It's a very friendly gorilla. So that was the name of this case. And then you can see a full breakdown of tasks. So if you're using hours, it shows you the hours that are spent. It shows you the category and then just the individual tasks and their status. So this might be useful if you're just trying to pull a report and see the status of tasks. I'll also just show you really quickly what the time entry sheet looks like. So if you've got a bunch of time entries over a period of time and you want to export that and see what that looks like from reports, you can get a clean list of all of the time entries, your start date, your end time, cases that it was associated with. You can obviously import this into another system if that's what you're using for invoices or for time tracking. And it can also show you whether an invoice has been generated or not. So, um, yeah, so that is in short the task management system. And with that, does anybody have any questions? Okay, Camille, let's get to your questions here. So custom statuses, you can add custom categories at this point for cases. So let me get back to my cases view here. So our categories can be changed, and that is in settings. If we went to settings down here and then go to time entry categories, you can create or edit categories like I showed you in the demo, but we currently are not, statuses are not currently editable. But I will say one of the things that I like about working at Monolith and like as a part of our process is that we do really listen to user requests. Almost everything is generated because a sufficient number of people said, "Hey, this would be really helpful," and then we will add it to our roadmap. We'll see if we can make that happen. So that's definitely something that we will continue to look at. Is there a way to combine my notes with others' notes and sort by date? That there is not, but we've been talking a lot about, well, what you can do is there's currently only my notes for this case, but you can see all notes if you have privileges to do so on that case, and then you can get a flat list of every note associated with the case. We can chat more offline about that if you have more questions. We're currently looking at ways to improve the view of notes to make that a little bit simpler so that you kind of are defaulting to all notes. Um, yeah, I don't have a great case set up for the notes to view that problem, but as of now, no, but good question. Uh, if you have HubSpot system, before I get the case, yes, and as Megan said, feature requests or support at Monolith Forensics, always feel free to reach out. We respond promptly. Um, can I bring them over and keep the tasks? Yeah, that's a good question. We would have to talk about that. There might be some. I don't know. I haven't messed with HubSpot CRM. There might be some data types that don't play nice together. That's the kind of thing too that we're happy to talk to you about. If it is something we can do, we can even work with you to bring over your data from. The question was, if anyone didn't see it, if you have tasks in HubSpot CRM system, before I get a case, can I bring them over to Monolith as a new case and keep the tasks? Possibly. That's something that we would be happy to talk to you about and see if it's something we work out. Currently, we don't support an integration for that, but it doesn't mean that that's not something we might be able to do as a one-off, depending on just how big of a lift it is to accomplish. So, um, any other questions on the tasks or anything else with Monolith while we're all here? Okay, thanks so much, guys. Appreciate it. And like Megan said, feature requests at Monolith Forensics. I'm Spencer at Monolith Forensics. If you have any questions specifically, and yeah, thanks everybody.
Alrighty, thanks, guys. Thanks, Spencer, for walking us through that. And we'll just see you next week at the next Monolith Mondays. Hope you guys all have a great day.